With John C. McGinley, we are so proud to have him as our Legacy Award winner this year. But as I've said before, Mike, I'm not worthy to talk about him, but Mike has known John for a long time, and I think it's very appropriate that you say a few words.
Thank you, Mike. It is an honor and a pleasure. I met this guy 20-ish years ago. We can lie at this point in our lives. It was a couple decades ago. He did a pilot with us. He played a drug-addled Vietnam veteran high school teacher, and he became that guy. Just killed it, lived it, loved it, embodied it. The pilot, I guess it was a failure because it didn't get on TV, but became friends for life, so that doesn't feel like failure. Then I asked him to join me in a little movie called Summer Catch. Shared passion of ours is baseball. He was going to play a scout up in the Cape Cod League where the best college kids play every year. And on his own dime, without even telling me, he took himself down to Myrtle Beach and hung out with the real scouts, which I imagine involved a little beer drinking and tobacco spitting and God knows what else. And he came to the movie set with a whole new language. So I don't know what he was talking about, but it sounded like scout talk. So we went with it. Once again, stole the show sitting with Hank Aaron. And then there was a movie called Radio that I was honored to show here last year with Ed Harris, and I know what an incredibly hands-on, compassionate, caring father John is, and we talked about the character in that movie, and we talked about the needs to treat people with differences, particularly kids with learning differences, with compassion, with dignity. Really imbued a whole new spirit in that film, for which I'm forever grateful, and it really, I think most importantly, reminded me of what's most impressive about John, and that's a dad. At the time he had a son named Max, now he's got two beautiful daughters, and he works tirelessly to eradicate the use of the R word, and to make sure that these people in our lives, again, are treated with dignity, with love, made a part of our world. John, the one, the only, the irrepressible Johnny C. McGinley. I'm happy to be here with you and thrilled to be here.
Before you say something, I want to give you your actual prizes, and then everybody wants to talk to you. Obviously, we have a trophy, which is our Legacy Award. I'll present this to you. And along with the Legacy Award trophy comes a gift card for one of these custom-made bags, which John can decorate however he wants to. And so I'll hand that over to you as well. And we also, since it's a Legacy Award, we give you a case of Legacy beer. So with that, I turn it over to you, John, and thank you very much for being our 2015 Legacy Award winner.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mike Poland. It's an honor to be here. It's great to be part of something that is burgeoning into something really special and relevant and important. And when the young gal who came up and won that last award was up here, I turned to my wife Nicole, who's here with me, and said that that's real. Her enthusiasm and love of storytelling was real. And it gave me a big fat chill up my shoulder, and that's just as good as it gets when you see somebody who wants to be part of the storytelling process like she was. I'm really thrilled to be here with you guys. Thanks for joining us. I think we're going to do a Q&A so that you guys can ask questions, and I'll answer them best I can. Thanks for coming tonight. As I was just suggesting, the most important thing is to figure out what happens when somebody calls action or the curtain goes up. And so fundamentally, there is no difference. You have to serve David Mamet's words, or you have to serve Oliver Stone's words or Bill Lawrence's words. You have to serve the text. And the only way you can serve the text is if you know what's going on, know who you are in the story, and how to serve the story. Otherwise, you're dead.
What is a time when something didn't work? And we all know, for those out here who are striving and really trying to make it, I mean, this kind of story can really help inspire them to hear the moments when you really struggled, what it felt like. Really take us there to that story.
In 1984, I was doing Hamlet with Kevin Kline at the Shakespeare Festival. I was understudying Laertes and playing third guy on the right. But if you're understudying Laertes, you have to be part of the first 2 weeks of rehearsal for the sword fight at the end of the play when Laertes gets poisoned. So I went through 2 weeks of the sword fight, the combat training with B.H. Barry, who was the dun-dun-dun at the time of sword fighting. And then Oliver Stone called up and said, John Spencer, rest in peace, who was on the West Wing and won a bunch of Emmys for it, he dropped out of Platoon. Did I want to play the fourth lead in Platoon? Well, nobody in their right mind, once you got into the sorority/fraternity of the New York Shakespeare Festival, would ever burn that bridge. And so I asked Rosemary Tischler, who was the casting person there, who put me in the play and allowed me in, if she could set up a meeting with me and Joseph Papp, who was the patriarch of the New York Shakespeare Festival. And so I went in to see Joe Papp, and I told him I got this low-budget independent film, but I got the fourth lead, and would it be okay with him if I went over to the Philippines and did this film with Oliver Stone? And he was
always had a burner, and he was this guy. And he was way in the back of his throat, and he said, Mac, we're going to do Platoon here, we're going to do Hamlet again. You go, when you get back, we'll do it again.
And of course, I'm crying. I'm so scared.
Yeah.
And he was true to his word. And so I dropped out of Hamlet. And as soon as I dropped out of Hamlet, there was a revolution in the Philippines. And we were postponed for 11 months. So I was living in a funeral parlor at the time, 177 Sullivan Street, in the New Shironi Funeral Parlor. And the first two stories were dead people, and 4 and 5 were the guy who owned the place, and then I had a small apartment on the top floor. And so I sat in the funeral parlor, and I watched CNN, and Gunny and Marcos wouldn't leave until Reagan gave them political asylum in Hawaii. And so I'm sitting, and Hamlet opens, and Frank Rich writes that it's the most important Hamlet ever produced on these shores, and I'm not in it. And revolution's still going on, and I'm sitting there in the funeral parlor. And then I go out one morning, and into the funeral parlor walks Cher, who was at the height of her fame. And in the movie she went to the Academy Award for, what did she win for? Moonstruck. In Moonstruck,
Yes,
the one time they shoot an exterior of her going into her workplace, she comes into the New Toronto funeral parlor. So I'm going down to work out, and then walks Cher. Walks into the funeral parlor.
Yes.
It's not that cool. I have nothing to do with it. So I have nothing to do with the play. I have nothing to do with Cher. I have nothing to do with anything. I'm sitting on the 5th floor, doing nothing.
That's called when it didn't work.
And so finally, the political unrest abated enough for us to go to the Philippines, and we went over there, and then that worked out. But that was close to 8 months
Wow.
of not being in Hamlet and not being part of Cher or anything else.
Oh, we'll be hearing that story. We've all got our when it didn't work story. Well, tell us a little bit about what you're working on now. What are you up to, and what are your dreams?
I just finished a film in Bogota called The Belko Experiment by the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy. And so in between doing the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy and the first one, he went down to Bogota, Colombia, and we shot a big action movie there. And then that was June and July, and then August I was in Nashville doing a baseball movie. And now I'm dropping people off at gymnastics and pottery and picking people up and bringing them to dance. And we won our first soccer game this morning.
And that's going to be the best job.
Well, my wife is the coach and I'm the assistant coach, so I'm in charge of water and oranges and picking up watermelon rind. And so it was a good win.
That's
Good win.
awesome. That's awesome. All right, final question. Tell us a little bit of parting advice to all of the people out here that want to be directors. What makes a film good?
What makes a film good? Well, there's a lot of moving parts, as Kathy and Mike can tell you. And if as the director, you have a clear sense and vision of what you want the film to be and what you want your story to be, because everybody else is going to try to change it. I've been on sets where directors don't have a clear sense of what they want their story to be and the tone of it. And that all sounds pretty ethereal, but it's not. So, in other words, you gotta own the piece, because everybody else is gonna try to take it away from you. Your vision and everything from the pace to the moral of the story to everything, it's gonna get reshaped by a zillion different chefs in the kitchen. And if you can somehow hang on as tight as you can to whatever your vision is, whatever that looks like, whatever first attracted you to the story and made you go, I have to tell this story, I have to, no matter what, then you have a chance. You have a chance.
Those are such great words, and I mean, just worth repeating. You have to tell the story. You have to feel that burning desire. As a journalist, I know that meaning. You got to tell the story. When you feel that, you don't have anything else. You got to tell it. You got to share it, no matter what.
Yeah, that when you have to rip it out of your sternum and put it on the screen, that you'll be able to serve the story.
Congratulations.